Niagara 4, Lynxspring will be conducting several initiatives to get you up to speed on the latest release of Niagara. Some of the initiatives include a series of webinars, training and CBTs, ongoing communications, some FAQs, and a variety of support materials. So today's webinar is designed for 30 minutes, and to give you the latest overview and look into the features and functions of Niagara 4. It's not meant to be technical. We'll address some technical things later on in future webinars and training. Since the webinar is scheduled for 30 minutes, we'll have limited time for questions. So if you have any, please email marketing@lynxspring.com or training@lynxspring.com, and we'll get back to you soon as we can after the webinar. So what has been Lynxspring's role with Niagara 4 and the new controller, the Jace 8000, or our name, the Jenny 8000? We're excited about this release as a key Tridium strategic partner and authorized Niagara developer. We've been involved with Niagara 4 since it was first announced a while ago. We've had access to all the early versions of the software and have continuously provided input and are putting it through our test and use cases and have become very familiar with it. We also work very closely with Tridium on the beta program and now the rollout of the technology. Niagara 4 builds on the legacy of Niagara AX in new and exciting ways. It's less reliant on browser plugins. It's faster and easy to use. And again, I think that is one of the main things we all have been looking for in this new release. As a result of several changes, end users can now directly access, analyze, and act on a wide range of operational data. Niagara 4 features bold and intuitive new interfaces, modern and easy to use, and the platform utilizes HTML5 that will provide an array of rich features that will greatly enhance and make a significant leap forward in the technology. From an availability perspective, as of now, we're looking that Niagara 4 will be available towards the end of July, beginning of August, and the PC 8000 sometime the end of August, beginning of September. However, I want to caution that those dates are subject to change. So what should you be doing today? Simple. Keep doing what you're doing. We'll be reaching out to you on a number of occasions to keep you up to date, and our business development team will be meeting with you and reviewing things with you as well. Continue on with Niagara AX. Sell it. AX will be supported for the next 5 or 6 years through 2020, 2021. Engage with your customers. Get them upgraded to the latest AX version, which is AX 3.8. And be ready to take advantage of a maintenance offering that will be promoted and given out in the near future. Also, there is a well-defined Niagara AX to Niagara 4 migration path, and we'll be working with you on that. So without further ado, let me turn it over to Jim to now go under the covers to learn about the features and functions.
All right, thank you, Mark. Welcome, everyone. A brief agenda for the next about 25 minutes. We'll cover the customer value that Niagara 4 is creating for you, review a few of the features and benefits that are the real highlights of this new version of Niagara. We'll look at the compatibility with AX stations. We'll look at the software maintenance as we understand it today and review a couple of the frequently asked questions that we've been hearing. First and foremost, Niagara 4 was created for the system integrator. It was really intended to put a new user interface on that brings the look and feel of Niagara into the present century of connected devices. So this is going to be a new, cleaner look and feel. It's also meant to find and visualize the data so that we can start really focusing on building efficiency, energy. It's built to work well with analytics packages. It also features a shorter integration time. We've really, Tridium and what we've experienced through our beta testing is that a lot of the tasks that were very intensive in terms of workflow processes have been simplified. It's going to take less clicks, and they found ways to do it so that it's easily repeatable with templating and tagging, which we'll cover here shortly, and really makes Niagara a more powerful framework. They've also focused on the security aspects of Niagara, and we'll go into that a little bit as well. And they've got an improved developer experience with some enhanced documentation and some new APIs. The first big framework benefit, and the first thing you're going to notice, is that the user interface has really changed. They've got a new modern design language. This looks like something you would see on today's new generation of smart devices. It's got a clean and crisp look to it. You're going to see the rounded corners. But more importantly, it's got a very deliberate use of color. Every time we see color in a station now, it really does have meaning. And it also makes that color jump out when it's present. They're utilizing HTML5 technology for all of the common end-user views. And what this really means is no more Java browser applet plugin, which is going to take away a lot of the headache that we know you experience day-to-day with that. On their development path in the Niagara 4 series, they intend to migrate all of the views to the HTML5. But for launch, it's going to be restricted to those common end-user views. At this time, the workbench is still going to require the full Java plugins and that sort of thing because that's not been addressed yet. You can see the user interface. Also, because we're using HTML5 technology, it means it's natively able to resize and be used and scaled on mobile applications like tablets and smartphones. And it's just the next iteration and development on top of the mobile framework that's already been developed. Additionally, they've added the capability to tag. And as we drop components into a station or as we discover them, we can tag them up using a variety of dictionaries. There's a Niagara dictionary that comes present with every station. You get multiple dictionaries available. Haystack, for example, will also be present. And you can actually use those dictionaries to tag up points so that you can create and model relationships. This also enables the new search functionality. And you can now search stations for the tags that are available on these components and help you find the data you're looking for quickly instead of scrolling through endless navigation panes or having to use more complicated BQL queries. Navigation is also enhanced with this tagging scheme with the ability to build user-specific hierarchies. I can now give a user a navigation tree hierarchy that makes sense for their role in viewing that station. And we can sort geographically by campus or any other tags that we would like to sort by. Those hierarchies, again, can be matched to user roles, and then the devices and points that are matched to those roles and to those hierarchies auto-populate underneath the tree. So as changes are made, it's continually rebuilding each time that tree is expanded so that we can see the newest hierarchy and the newest points that have been added. There's a new dashboarding functionality that enables you to build custom HTML5 views that can even include web browsers in those widget panes. And one of the real benefits is you can drag and drop points onto the widgets of the dashboard, and the dashboard data will change to reflect it. So the charting that's displayed on that dashboard, I can drag new points onto, and it will immediately chart and plot them. I can change the widgets and the meters and the gauges simply by dragging out new data. And a customer doesn't have to try to find multiple dashboards. They can drag out the data they'd like to see. Additionally, we can save those dashboards so that they can be viewed later, and they can come back and demonstrate areas perhaps where there were issues or something, and we can actually immediately see that data and not have to dig through the histories and the charts. Charting's also got quite a bit of a facelift. We can now drag and drop data directly onto a chart pane, and Niagara charts it. We can do multiple points, and we can do multiple types of points. We can now drop schedules, things like Boolean schedules, and see occupied and unoccupied times easily charted against what other equipment is doing. And Niagara is going to scale it, or we can force scale it the way that we'd like to see. Additionally, they've added some features like being able to select one area on a chart and have it drop a line down through the chart. You see that a little bit in the bottom right picture, where they're able to now see the values of each of those points at that specific time. And we think this will be a really valuable troubleshooting tool as we try to learn and see what's going on in the station and find out at a particular time what's going wrong. Charts themselves can also be saved for later use in addition to being exported out as other objects. And we also have a data cleanser now for handling the bad data. And basically, we can select an area where the data isn't very good, and through a series of drop-downs, choose what we would like Niagara to do and find the best fit function, or perhaps find an average, or simply display the last known good data. And that's going to help smooth out some of those charts where we have gaps. The Genesis Pro Builder has a few improvements as well, and one of them is we still have the old AX style property sheet and slot sheet. However, there's a new view that combines both of those. And this new property sheet is actually really convenient in that it minimizes the number of clicks that have been required to get to some of the data. Being able to expose slot data in a property sheet and quickly make changes, we've found has significantly improved our workflows throughout the beta process. Search is also integrated into the Pro Builder as its own pane, so we can rapidly navigate the station as we build it and find what we need. These more intuitive dialogues are part of what really speeds up what we're doing. And then the way that the important data stands out through color and the way that it has been presented in the new interface is also going to be of big value as you're engineering your station. One of the most, I think, big impact tools that we've noticed so far is this new templating tool. Previously, we've always templated through use of palettes and customized objects. However, in this case, they've taken that concept to a new area. By using the tags that are on an object, the links that are in an object, and the logic that's built, we can basically create a template for almost anything, all the way up to and including entire stations. These templates are then saved to our workstation and can be dragged out, and we get an intuitive wizard that asks us to make the connections to the station that we dropped it into. If it's looking for the state connections to, say, Modbus or to BACnet, it'll help find those addresses very quickly, sync them up, and we can now redeploy these templates time and time again to make our station configuration that much faster. And this one is going to be a really powerful tool, I think, once we get everybody on board and using it. We talked a little bit about security and the fact that Tridium is really stepping up the security game with Niagara 4. They've added code signing, which is considered a vital piece of security now today for anyone that wants to handle secure code. And this is going to make sure that the code hasn't been altered or corrupted, and it's going to verify that what you have is an authentic module. Now, this is going to create a little bit of extra work for the third-party modules as they are developed to ensure that they comply with the new code signing. But in the end, this is going to result in a more secure product for all of us. Additionally, access control has been changed. That user and category service that we're so used to in AX has been completely migrated to role-based access control. And we're going to be able to manage users and their permissions with tags and make sure that folks are only able to see those parts of the station that they're intended to see. It makes the setup much faster than the current pre-planned effort that has to go into a correctly set up user and category service. Developer support has also been worked on. Tridium has understood and made a way forward, and we've already experienced that as we go through our own modules at Lynxspring. They really wanted to make a way for developers to be able to understand what's going on under the hood now. With Niagara 4, Tridium's made a lot of really big breaking changes to the APIs. And so now that they're developing the UX framework on open web technology, that makes it much easier for someone who doesn't need a specialized introduction to Baja and to older web technologies. So now just a basic HTML5 is all you need to create those graphics. The public APIs have been improved, and there's also been significantly improved documentation and examples that have been rolled out as part of this development. A quick summary of the benefits that we've covered briefly to this point, and a couple that we haven't. One of the big things that we've noticed is that with the licensing model that is going to be rolled out with the Jenny PC 8000, they're using a single piece of hardware to replace the current Jenny 3000, 6000, 7000 lines that are supported right now. And they're going to do that by licensing by the number of devices that can be supported. This means one single piece of hardware can act as any one of that family of controllers, or even beyond, as the PC 8000 we found to be significantly faster and more powerful than even the Jenny PC 7000. More importantly, there's an AX migration tool in place that is going to enable us to take an AX station, perform a simple series of commands, and turn it into a Niagara 4 station so that you're not stuck trying to re-engineer an entire station from scratch. Right now, there are still a few gotchas as we've gone through that process. Third-party modules will have to be supported by that third party before the AX migration tool is really going to be effective. But that's going to be part of the rollout, and that's part of the development path that we're working on right now so that your experience is a smooth one. So speaking of compatibility between Niagara AX and Niagara 4, they will be compatible over the FOX network, and they will still be able to talk to one another. So this is not another situation like R2 to AX where there was complete re-engineering required. So while the developers have taken the opportunity to make the breaking changes to the APIs, they did so with the idea that they still had to support the existing Niagara AX communication infrastructure. And again, that station conversion tool is going to be available at launch so that we can move your current content into a Niagara 4 station if required. And we'll be going through that process hand in hand with you. Developer APIs have been kept in mind that they're going to have a mix of both Niagara AX and Niagara 4 stations and Niagara 4 and Niagara AX Jennies on the network. And so they'll be FOX network compatible, like I said, and even with the new security changes, the secure FOX connection will still speak between both. For the hardware, and we'll emphasize this again later, the biggest thing to know about Niagara 4 hardware is that it has to run on a Jenny that contains the hotspot virtual machine for Java. This currently includes the PC 3000E, the PC 6000, PC 6000E, and PC 7000. It will also run on the new PC 8000 at launch. A typical development path for an existing AX system would be to first migrate the supervisor station to Niagara 4. As it is all FOX compatible, the subservient stations will all still be able to serve their data, and you'll still get to use the new powerful features of Niagara 4 with charting and dashboarding for your end user views. You would then be able to add additional Niagara 4 Jennies underneath the network by using the existing Jenny 3000, 6000, and 7000 series controllers. We could also add the new Jenny 8000 when it is launched with Niagara 4. And at some point in the future, the Jenny 8000 will also support being able to run Niagara AX. And this is intended to be a replacement for the aging hardware in the current Jenny 3000, 6000, and 7000 series controllers. But all of those controllers will be able to live and talk on the same network, which is important for making sure that your current installations are not obsolete. Beginning with Niagara 4, and actually right now with some of the AX products if you choose to use it, Tridium is rolling out a software maintenance policy. This policy is going to basically be their way of ensuring that you're able to stay up to date on the latest software releases and not worry about the expense one time each time that a new release comes out. They've got some policies in place for gap charges. If your software maintenance agreement expires, you'll have to pay in arrears, essentially, to upgrade to the newest version once you do want to jump back up. up to 5 years max. But all builds, patches, and upgrades are provided as part of that software maintenance agreement. So there's really no excuse for us to allow stations to linger 3 and 4 versions behind once we have this maintenance agreement in place. This is going to reduce the risk both to you and to your end users with being able to stay up to date, particularly with the latest security fixes. We won't have out-of-date versions sitting in stock, and then system integrators, you can also add that service maintenance agreement to your programs and drive additional value that way. The current support period for a standard release from Tridium is 4 years and 7 years from a long-term release, with version 3.8 being the designated AX long-term release. And that is the final version that we understand will be coming from Niagara AX, although there will be update builds as appropriate. And tech support will be available until the product end of life. This is still a relatively new policy, and we'll be looking for additional information from Tridium, which we will pass to you as soon as we have it. So let's briefly review some of the frequently asked questions we've been getting. And the first is, what is the connectivity on that new PC8000? On board are 2 isolated RS-485 ports, which is an improvement over the current Jenny PC series where they do not have isolated ports, but the option cards do. It also has 2 gigabit Ethernet ports. And instead of having to open the cover and remove pieces and install option modules, they've actually created the option modules as sidecar expansions that simply snap on to the DIN rail adjacent to the Jenny, similar to the NDIO today. The sidecar expansions available at launch will be expansions for additional RS-485 ports, LAN ports, and RS-232 serial ports. More will be expected in the future, but those are the ones that we can expect when they announce the official launch of the PC8000. As we've already discussed, the PC8000 will only run Niagara 4 at launch. It's going to require an update build of Niagara AX that will actually enable the functionality or the distribution file for the PC8000. So we expect that within a few months of launch, but we've not been given a specific date. And that's going to allow the new PC8000 to operate as a replacement for the previous generation, but not necessarily to use its newest features, like the onboard Wi-Fi. We've also discussed this already. The controllers that have hotspot JVM are the PC3000, 6000, and 7000 series controllers, as well as the new PC8000. This means the PC1000 will not be able to run the new Niagara 4 software. We've also been asked about the future development path for Niagara AX, and currently, other than adding the PC8000, we know of no feature development that will be included. But Lynxspring and Tridium will continue to provide standard update releases to fix known issues in the supported versions of AX, with 3.8 being that long-term supported version. Additionally, there's a new roadmap for training and certification for Niagara 4. Niagara 4 and Niagara AX are being considered separate certifications by Tridium. The Niagara 4 NTCP will be available as a bridge course if you are already Niagara AX certified at launch. So for those of you who are Niagara AX certified, you'll be able to take an e-learning module, which includes a certification test. This will be done through an online browser login that will allow you to progress at your own pace and to get interaction from the instructors of the course if necessary through questions available in those browsers. The price has not yet been announced, but should be significantly less expensive than taking the full NTCP course. A full 1-week NTCP course, however, will be available at launch for those who do not want to take the bridge course or for those who are not eligible. And that course will be offered along with new online content, which is required in order to understand what's going on with the new tagging and templating in particular, as well as the new SSL settings. The Niagara AX NTCP course will be offered for as long as Niagara 3.8 is a supported product. So at Lynxspring, we will still be offering both courses separately if required. And I'm going to go ahead and turn it back over to Marc for some closing remarks.
Thanks, Jim. And again, should you have some questions, because we're trying to keep this at the 30-minute mark, please email marketing@lynxspring.com or training@lynxspring.com. We want to thank you all for joining us today, and stay tuned for more over the next couple of months. And feel free to reach out to our sales, marketing, and training departments anytime when we can be of help and assistance to you, both on the new Niagara 4 platform as well as the current AX. And again, we're extremely excited here at Lynxspring to have been involved with this right from the very beginning. And we are looking forward to working with you and your customers. So again, thank you very much, and we'll see you at the next webinar.